Here's who they've got left on the schedule, guys. Quick turnaround. They've got Washington. What did you say? That they started looking at that film today, yesterday?
Roethlisberger said we're going to watch it last night.
I love that after the game. Big game against the Bills coming up, too, Kyle. And they've got the Bengals, the Colts. They finish the season off with the Browns. Take a look at the AFC playoff picture. They do, of course, have that 1 seed. But, I mean, those Chiefs are chasing them down. And they look good. 10-1 right there. The Titans, of course, have the 3. Yeah. Love it. You got to get the 1 seed to get the bye week, the only team that will. Okay, should the rest of the AFC fear the Steelers after seeing that picture and seeing that game yesterday?
Yeah, so in the beginning of the show, I talked about how there were 6 drops by receivers. There was the botched punt by Ray McLeod. The Steelers did not look great yesterday, and they still win, and I think Tomlin and Roethlisberger echo what a lot of Steelers fans thinking. That was ugly, and yet a lot of Steelers fans are waking up this morning thinking, okay, but we're still undefeated. The win counts. I also think the Bud Dupree injury, which wasn't mentioned in the highlight, is massive.
Yep.
Bud Dupree was having a career year, and this is in garbage time. It was 19-7. That's a Marv Albert shout out. Garbage time.
Yes.
No, to see, but torn ACL. Aditi Kinkhabwala reported it yesterday. Mike Garafolo confirmed it. That's the word, out for the year. Now, that's huge.
Hate that.
Because what the Steelers do on defense starts with the pass rush, and Cam Hayward was all over the field yesterday. Cam Hayward was amazing. But you got T.J. Watt on one side, and then, of course, you have Bud Dupree on the other. They lead the NFL in combined sacks for 2 players going into this game. That one didn't happen in the second quarter. It happened late in the fourth quarter when this game was pretty much wrapped up. That one is tough because the team that I think people really are starting to fear right now is the one you mentioned to start, Kay. And if you don't have a pass rush, I don't know how you stop these guys. Bring up the Chiefs footage. I feel like it's just cliche at this point. Pick any game and pick any play. Chiefs are rolling on offense. This was Tyreek Hill in the first quarter last week, and no one was getting to Mahomes. That's the problem. So
Bucs got a pretty scary D-line too, Peter.
the Bucs were really good against the pass, and guess what? The Chiefs came in and lit them up. And, you know, the bottom line is Bud Dupree injury. Why am I making such a big deal of it? Because it's not just Bud Dupree. You lost Devin Bush earlier in the year. The more you kind of take on, and it's like guys like Hightower and Spillane are now playing in big roles on your defense. You hope they can step up, but that wasn't the expectation. To me, I hate to be somber about it, and I'm not going to just do raving about the Chiefs here. The Bud Dupree injury is huge for the Steelers. He is a free agent to be.
Yeah.
He is one of the best pass rushers in football.
Having an unbelievable year, Schrager.
And he was having and now he's gone, and I don't know how this team responds to that. Adversity. We talk about it all the time.
Right.
This might be the hidden loss in what was a win yesterday.
That's now a couple of key guys on that defense that are gone. Do we fear this team? Should teams in the AFC, should teams in the NFL fear the Steelers? No, they should not fear. Should they respect them? Of course.
Okay.
Respect them because their record demands that. But fear is a completely different beast. You know, when I was younger, I was scared of the boogeyman. I was scared of the creature under my bed.
Sure.
I was scared of Freddy Krueger and Jason. And then as I got older, I realized, why am I scared of something that doesn't exist? So if you're an offense in the NFL and you were thinking about the Pittsburgh Steelers, and this whole season, that's all you've been hearing about, the closest thing to the steel curtain, and they were beating up on some teams. And they had some outings out there where they were making quarterbacks look like high school QBs.
Okay.
And then after a couple of losses, Bud Dupree in the most recent, and then watching last night, you're supposed to fear that defense? If you're a team in the, you're supposed to fear the defense that you got teams like this running through. You're supposed to fear the defense that the Titans and the Eagles put points upon. That guys like Deshaun Watson put points upon. You're supposed to fear that defense. You're supposed to fear the defense that RG3 and Trace McSorley almost beat last night. You're supposed to fear. No.
Weird game, weird circumstances.
Weird game, weird circumstances. But you know what's real?
Yeah.
What they put out there on that field. So for me, I'm looking at that defense and I'm saying, all right, as good as much of a pass I can give the offense for the drops, the weather, not being on the same page, game getting pushed back, that defense is something that is a strong weakness. I'm not saying they're a weak point, but they have weaknesses within that defense, especially with the loss of Bud Dupree.
For an 11-0 team, they don't have that shock and awe factor, right? Like, oh my gosh, the Steelers are head and shoulders above. They don't. And yet, I still think the Steelers are going to the Super Bowl. I really do.
You picked it before the season.
I did, and that's great. And even now, though,
Kyle,
I'm looking.
That was with
I don't mean to cut you off, but don't you think that things are starting to stack up against this team at the wrong time?
The injury's not great. The Bud Dupree thing is really big. Here's the thing. They have 13 players on their team who have sacks. Their pass rush is not a factor of TJ and Bud, and that's a wrap. It is deep. It comes from different angles. They're going to have to get more creative. The offense is going to have to be better. But they're 11-0. Over the last 30-plus years, look at the teams that have gone 11-0 and better. There's something really... Start in the upper left with me. Bears, they got to 12-0. Super Bowl win. Washington, yes, Super Bowl win. Broncos, Super Bowl win. Patriots 2007, of course, went to 19-0 and lost. The Colts in 2009, they lost only because the Saints also played them and they won. The Packers 13-0, no Super Bowl win. The Panthers got to the Super Bowl, losing to Denver. Those teams get to the Super Bowl. That's not a coincidence. That goes back to the mid-'80s, different eras, different personnels. All those teams had injuries. All those teams lost key players. When you get to 11-0, the anomaly factor is out. It's not 8-0, not 9-0. It's 11-0, and if you want to talk about the diversity they've been through, are you looking at their schedule? Are you looking at them losing their bye week and they're playing a game, I think, 20 minutes from now? I don't care if Bud Dupree's injured. I hope if he heals up, but there's bigger things to deal with than our second-best pass rushers out for the season. I still think they're going to the Super Bowl. I still think they have something for the Chiefs.
The questions will remain, though, and the argument that's going to be used against you, Kyle, is, of course, that what's their best win? The Titans is maybe it'll be the Browns. They could go 16-0 and the questions will still remain because that is their best. They win an entire regular season without facing the Chiefs, the Saints, the Packers, or the Seahawks. Now, of course, the argument to me then is you can't, we don't make the schedule, but that's what you're going to hear even if this streak continues.
Yeah, it's true. Like, they don't have those crazy style points.
Their best win is the Titans.
It's true, and they can play who they can play, and they played the Titans after it was moved, and it was reshuffled, and it was an extra degree of difficulty.
And I'd argue when they went into Baltimore with Lamar, and it was before Baltimore started hitting the skids a little bit, like, that was a gutsy win. And that's the thing, Kyle's right, style points. When the Patriots were undefeated, it was like they're beating the Bills 55-7.
Piling on touchdowns.
Beating the Titans in the snow.
It's like college.
It was like, this doesn't feel that way. And I don't know how that plays out next couple weeks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, are they?
At what point do you get, though, to be like, all right, so there's 14-0, there's 16-0, and you're still like,
to Kate's point, I don't know if I will.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The questions are going to remain.
I'll say this,
when do they stop?
Even if
they win a playoff game. They win a second playoff game.
Beat the Browns decisively, maybe?
Maybe.
Browns are all they've got.
I'll never beat the Steelers.
I'll say this.
Right? So it's like
most playoff games aren't close. So the fact that they can win these games like this, it might help them in January.
Well said. You're right. The Browns won't change my mind. You're right.
No, they've beaten the Browns, I think, 22 out of 23 times.
Yeah.
Let's bring in Tom Pelissero now to talk about Commissioner Roger Goodell, not about raising the money for a way to play. That's Nate and Roger. They can duke that out themselves. But the commissioner was asked yesterday about the possibility of a playoff bubble. Where does the league stand on that?
Okay, the NFL has no plans to conduct its playoffs in a bubble the way that the NBA or the NHL did. But as Ian Rappaport and I reported last weekend, there are more and more active discussions about creating local bubbles, isolating players and other team personnel in a hotel, only leave in order to go to and from the facility, and strictly enforcing limitations on who you can interact with outside of that environment. Now, Commissioner Roger Goodell did appear last night at halftime on NBC and explain the league's thinking on that topic.
Our issue on bubbles, listen, the way it's perceived, I think, in the general public is that not something we would do because we believe that our protocols are working. We would consider